Okay, in this video I'm going to walk you through a build using the Auto House Builder. This is the alpha build for this, so there are going to be obviously some changes in the future with this. I utilize a program called PureRef. You can download that online. That's P-U-R-E-R-E-F. That allows me to have basically a canvas that I can put over top of my screen here. It always sits on top. I can download images off the internet. You can infinitely zoom on them. It's a super nice thing. I use this for all my 3D references, but I'm going to leave this up while we build so that you can kind of follow along what the heck I'm trying to do here. So let's go ahead and put this down here in the corner. Sorry, that's right mouse button here. And just kind of show you how to utilize this house builder. When you open it up, this should already be showing. If not, go to the scripting tab. If you have a laptop, make sure you kind of slide this out to the side and go ahead and hit the play button. That's going to give you your tools here on the side. And really, we kind of just work from the top down. So looking at this structure, I'm going to pick something to start with, which is this garage. I've just sort of worked in 3-meter increments. It just makes things easier, and it's just close enough, especially for peripheral homes. Remember, we're not going for perfect accuracy here. We're going for close enough for something on the course. But in the end, this is going to be 6 meters across is how I'm going to look at this. So this is 3 meter, 3 meter, 3 meter, 3 meter, 3 meter. So technically this is 5 segments moving left to right here. And then top to bottom, I'm going to consider this 3 meters tall, 3 meters tall. So it's going to be 6 meters to get all the way up here. And so let's just use that idea and build. So we're going to start with something with, this is the gable ended here. And that block is 6 meters moving left to right. So that roof width is going to be 6 meters. The segments is how long it is back to front in this image. So this is just going to stick out of this structure. So we probably just need that 2 segments. We can always come back and fix it if we realize that that's a mistake, but usually 6 meters is going to be enough to get it into this larger structure. So go ahead and just click Add Block. I always leave Add Bevel on. It just adds a little bit of structure to it. Now you can see this. Let me put this in a different view. So up top right's your shading view. If you go to this is solid viewport shader. And I can just show you real quick with and without bevel here. So just turning off bevel. You can see up in the roof line, you don't get that pop. And so I just leave that bevel on. That's going to come in automatically with all your shapes if you leave this box checked. So let's go ahead and delete that. That's just the delete button. Oop. How about clicking that? And that's the delete button here. And now that pitch on that roof was not correct. So I'm going to go with something taller, pitch 10, add that block, and that looks more correct for that front-facing piece. Now I know that's going to have to move off to the side. You can do everything just manually. I think that's just going to be easier for some of this. But you can move things in the transform objects. We'll get to that in just a bit. But I'm just going to slide this down and out of the way a little bit. Now, let's put this bigger block in so I can kind of know where to build. It's a little hard to guess, but we're going to guess that it's maybe, it's probably like 3 or 9 meters front to back there. But I'm going to guess, let's just put it at 10.5 and see how that looks. Now the pitch of that roof is going to be less, so that's probably going to be 8. And then segments is running this way, so we talked before that was 5 segments. So, and that's going to be 6 meters tall. So we're going to add that block. Now it's turned sideways, so go to the transform objects. The Z is your vertical, so we're going to want to rotate around that Z, and that's 90 degrees. So just click the word rotate, and that puts us where we want to be. Now if you don't like that, obviously you can go wider or shorter. That's just this block here along the top is running from here to here, left to right, 10.5 meters. And we're just going to go with that for now. That's always easy to replace that. Actually, I don't want to move that. Let's leave that here and let's get this correct. Now you can use numpad. So like numpad 1 puts us directly behind the house in this case. If I do control numpad 1, puts me in the front. If you're working on a laptop, that's going to be view cameras. and you can change viewpoint is what it's going to be there. So unfortunately with laptop you may not have the numpad options. But I'm going to go ahead and slide this piece out. And then let's get it over to the side. You're going to see if you stuck it out here to the side, the roof would stick out. Now maybe that may be what you want. If you want to try to hide the roofing, you just got to cheat a little and slide it to the inside there. Now this middle segment with this other garage piece, this is going to be, let's just do another 3-meter piece on that. And if you want, I mean, if you decide, you know what, this is going to have a garage, it maybe needs to be 4.5. So let's put that and put a door on it just to see, to make sure we're right. But let's go back to the 10 pitch. Let's do this at 4.5, and that's going to be 6 meters tall, and it's only going to be 2 segments front to back. And let's add that block. Slide this forward here, and then let's slide it over. And let's put a garage on it just so we can see. So I'm going to go back up to the top right viewport shading, and let's put this on the material view. Now when you bring this into Unity, it's not going to look like this. This was just for me to help tiling, and so these are the base textures here. In Unity, you're going to have whatever you want to put on this. You want to put stone, and I'll even show you how you got to divide this so that we can do stone and all that. So let's first put the garage on it. In order to do that, you have to tab into edit mode and then go into face select here up top. That's either keyboard 1, 2, or 3 to change these. So 1 puts you on vertex, 2 moves you to edge select, and 3 face select, or you can just manually select it. This will only show in edit view. Then I'm going to click this front face. That's in order to add a window or a door. You have to be in edit mode. And doors are going to be in edge select, windows in face select. So let's go ahead and add a door. So I need to be in edge select. I'm selecting the bottom edge so it knows where to plant that door. And this is just going to be a single garage, and we're going to add that door. Okay, now if it's not showing up correctly, you may have to rotate it depending on how your build goes. But if you're following along, it's going to put it facing outward. Just as the other pieces go, you can always rotate this as well if for some reason it's not showing correctly. So now we've got that squared away, and the width of that looks good. Let's see what happens if this would have been a 3-meter piece, really. And you can see here, I'm just grabbing the arrows on the gizmo and then sliding. So this is left mouse click and slide. And then left mouse click and slide. So that, yeah, looks like I built that to account for that. So I kind of like the 4.5 piece, which means I'm really going to make this piece longer, but we'll get to that. All right, so definitely liking how that's looking right now. And you can bring this out, so the garage. And then if you got to move this piece with the garage, you have to shift left click select. So now they're both selected and they can move together. Control Z to undo that. So let's match this piece. So what we can do here is duplicate and move this piece. You ultimately can obviously just use this add block to regenerate it, but if you don't remember what size you made this piece, you may want to duplicate and move it. So for whatever reason, how I've got these coming in, moving this way is positive, moving to left is positive, and I might change that at some point. But duplicate and move, that means we're going to have to just move it negative in the X. This red line is x-axis. So all I'm just trying to show you is if I put this at -3 and I duplicate and move it along the X, it's going to move it out this way. And it didn't really matter because we're just going to grab this and slide it down. So now you can see, let's make this one more segment long. I'm going to delete that. So if you remember, it was gable-ended pitch 8. It was 5 segments, so it's now going to be 6. It's 6 meters tall, and it was maybe 10.5 going back. We add that block, we rotate it 90, Control Z, not around the X, but make it around the Z. We rotate that 90, and we'll slide it down and see, is that big enough? Yeah, I think that's good. So we'll slide it here. I don't want that roof sticking out here on the side. That's good. And then this is, so we either got to decide to make it longer, accept that that's going to stick out the side. If it's going to stick out the side, let's do, you would want it more like that, which would be okay. We can also push it in just fine like that as well. And then we're going to have to shift and pick the garage door plus that. That's pretty good. And so now that's looking pretty similar to our photo. The only thing we need to do is let's create this overhang here. I'm gonna move this out a little. Let's create this little porch overhang for us and the little porch front, and then we'll add a front door and then add a window, and then we'll sort of be done. You'll have the general idea of how to get yourself started. Oh, I want to add the railings on the porch too. So for this porch segment, this is kind of a flatter roof sticking out, but I'll show you how we can extrude the pieces and we don't have to get the roof exactly right. But that means I'm going to try a pitch 6, which is kind of this lower angled roof. And that is only going to need to be, let's make that 2 segments. And we're going to make it, 2 segments, and we're going to make that 3 meters tall. And let's go ahead and add that block and see what that looks like. Oh, I've still got it. Let's delete that. I've got it on the 10.5. Now that is only going to be, let's try 6 and see what it looks like. Add block, rotate it 90. Nope, Control Z. I don't want to rotate it 90. Let's bring it over here. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I want to rotate that 90 around the Z. And then we're going to push it back and then scoot it over. And so now you can kind of see how I'm going to use this. We want it to, do we want it to cover over that? We don't have to. Let's leave it. Let's leave it here. Now let's cover it over. We're going to end up, all I'm looking here is, do I want the door to be on this, which will be fine because we're going to extend it out. And let's slide this down. Now I kind of want it to be wider, so let's do that. This is a little bit of an advanced move. Tab into edit mode, click this X-ray vision up top, and then I'm going to put it on vertex select here, and I'm going to just move this where I can only see this right side of this, and I'm going to left click and drag, and it's just going to select that outer points. I'm going to make sure my options say correct face attributes up here on the top right, and then I'm just going to drag this. I've never really done this move here, but this is going to work. And then turn X-ray vision off. Let's go back to material view to make sure I didn't screw up how that looked. Yep. So if you leave that correct face attributes, as you drag, it's going to keep the UV unwrapping, and so it's not going to stretch textures. And so that looks pretty sweet. And now we're ready to extend the porch out and then make our little porch rails, add a window and a door, and we'll be done. So let's pick this here, tab into edit mode. I'm going to go to face select, which is 3 on your keyboard, or just top left here. And then I'm going to pick the front facing of my porch. Now make sure you've got that X-ray vision turned off, or you'll accidentally pick faces behind here, or you can't pick the face you want. So X-ray vision off. And now shift to pick both. And then I'm just going to come from the side here and just drag it out. And remember, I've still got that correct face attributes on. So that's extending our porch. You could do it a set distance by using the keyboard, but I'm just going to do that. Now you can see there is stretching that happens here a little bit, and that's okay. This is the fascia, which is just going to be like a white or a gray or a brown in Unity, and it doesn't matter if that stretches. The most important thing is that the roof looks okay there. So tab out. Now let's make our porch piece. That's going to be in the extra block section. So I'm going to close down that roof start section, extra blocks here. It's going to be 6 meters in the X direction. Remember, X is red. I make it 4 meters front to back. That's fine. And then let's make it just like Probably a ½ meter tall is okay. Let's try 0.3 meters. Let's add that block, and then let's drag it out here. Scooch it over to match up with this guy. Oh yeah, I manually stretched it, so that's okay. You can figure out how to manually stretch this one too if you really wanted to. It may not matter. But let's go from the side here and get it similar. Now you can go directly from the side with 3, and remember, if you're on the wrong side here, Control 3 will flip it to the other side. And now what I'm doing here is seeing like, okay, that's 5 blocks in from the main, and so we can scooch, we can scooch this in just a touch more. All right, so now we're exactly the same or very similar. Now we're going to come to this main piece that's doing the roof overhang and tab into edit mode, and then go to edge select, and I'm going to pick this vertical edge here, and this is going to create my railing, or sorry, my column. And so ultimately this is going to be a 4-sided column. Its width is going to be 0.2. That means just how wide this is. The edge is 0.2. And then if you click add column, it's going to make it the height of the selected edge. So I'm going to pull that out, and then I'm going to tuck that in here. If for some reason you thought, well, you know what, that column, I mean, it does actually look pretty good for that. But if you said for some reason, that's no good, I'm going to delete it. Let's go back to my edge, pick my edge here, and let's make it, I want that to be a little wider. Let's do 0.25, and then add column. Okay, so now we've got that piece. We're going to just duplicate and move like we did before, and I'm just going to move that 1 meter, duplicate and move that. Oops. Control Z to undo. I want to move that in the X. Remember, the red is X. Duplicate and move. And then let's see how that looks. So they're kind of consistent across, so I'm going to drag this down. Duplicate, move, another one, drag this down. Duplicate, move, drag this down. Then we can sort of, see, what is that? Yeah, Control 1s to get me to the front here. Now we're just going to kind of line these up. We need a door there, so that's about where that's going to go, and that's about where that's going to go. Let's make this between them. All right, cool. So now let's add a door here, and I know that that doesn't look right. You're going to make me do it. Going to grab this with face select. Then remember, make sure your correct face attributes is on, and I'm just going to drag that down. Tab out of edit mode, and then let's get all these guys right. You could leave it like that. This is where it's like, stop being so picky. Nobody's going to notice it at this distance that your columns aren't exact. So let's add a door here. Remember, door is going to be edge select. So this is a little tough now that we got a bunch of pieces showing. So this is where you're going to put your X-ray vision on temporarily. Go back to this solid viewport shading. And now I can see that edge. See that? That's my X-ray vision here. And then I can turn X-ray vision back off. And then let's add a door. Add a single door. Go ahead and add that. Let's go back to material view so we can see what the door is. And I'm going to show you kind of a cool thing we can do with the windows and the doors. Let's move this up. All right, say you don't like this door. There's 3 versions of the door at the moment, and you can swap the door out. It doesn't, maybe that's version 1. Swap door, yep, to have a different looking door. And then you can color these in Unity. Maybe you don't want the door handle there, so you want to move the door handle to the other side, and you don't like this window. So you're going to change, the window version. I don't know which one's that. So it says V1 on there. Haha. So let's make the window that version 2. And so we're pretty good. Let's just add a window to this one, and then that should give you enough information to build the rest of this house. And so let's go ahead and add a window. The only thing, now this doesn't have it, I just want to show you like shutters, headers, footers, that kind of thing. But let's add shutters to this window. It's a 2x2, not a ton of selections there, but add a 2x2 window and slide it up. So that has shutters. We can't easily remove that, I don't think. Yeah, no, yeah, I can't easily remove that. So you would just have to generate a new window. Say we said, we don't want the shutters actually. So we're going to delete that, tab back into edit mode. I've got that face selected, and we're going to add that window. I'm thinking, looking at this right now, like, where the heck's the frame? Did I just mess something up where I lost the frame? Let me put the shutters back on. Maybe that's, I gotta go back and look at that, but it looked like I had somehow, I think I killed the frame. If there's no add shutters, I'll have that fixed. But anyway, this should give you a pretty good idea. Yep, all right, cool. Like I said, alpha version. Anyway, this should give you a pretty good idea of what can be done with this automatic house builder. I'm not going to show how to finalize everything here because you do need to, why not? So yeah, this is our test house. You know, when you're done with it, you're going to want to select everything. So I put this in X-ray vision, left click and drag select. So all my see how this is new project here. It put all the pieces in the new project. If you can duplicate and join selected meshes, now that's going to take our single piece. The point of doing this is, I'm going to slide out so you can see it. So now you could always go back and edit it if you wanted to, but now you have the single piece ready for export into Unity. So it's a single mesh. I guess, shoot, one last thing. If you want to see this, hang in here. You want to see how to add the brick. So in this case here, this is only going to be one texture here, because this is, if you click on the marble here, this is base 1 texture. It's always going to, tell you what's selected. So like if you get this, turn off X-ray vision. If you get the side of the house here, you can see that's fascia or the roof. But this side here is base 1. So what I'm going to want to do is create a loop cut around this. And so we're in edit mode. Control R is going to create a loop cut. If you go to the side here, it's going to cut across. If you go down here, it's going to cut vertically. So we're cutting sideways, and we're going to do exactly halfway. So if I hit escape, it's just going to put it right in the middle and hit enter. Now that's created a loop cut all the way around this piece. Now, if I go to face select and I select this, but I hold down Alt when I select it and I go near an edge, it's going to select all the way around this building. And then I can come over here to my materials tab and choose another material. So we're going to add base 2, which means when we're in Unity, we're going to be able to assign the brick or the rock stone texture to this here, and then the top can just be siding. And so now we have to just add base material, assign that to the face. You're going to get a color change in here to know that that's what's happened. Now you're going to have to do that to all your pieces here. Now in this case, this whole lower part can be that. So I'm in face select, going near an edge, and I'm hitting Alt left, and that's selecting the whole thing. And so I'm going to assign that. And then we're coming across, we have to create a loop cut on this one. We want it right in the middle. So escape, enter to be done with that. And then back to face select. Loop cut puts you in edge select. Select all the way around, assign that. And then looks like the porch has that as well. And now remember, the porch is just one lower piece, so we can just pick this near an edge, Alt select. And now we're going to assign that to the face. And now we probably, you probably would have, okay, yeah, cool. I was going to say, you probably want to do this to the main thing and not the duplicate. And then we'll remake that. Okay, Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this piece, and then we can make sure you're in. I'm putting myself in X-ray vision, because if not, and I left click and drag, it may not select all the pieces. Let's just show you that. Yeah, it did anyway. You can see them all selected here. So duplicate and join. It didn't like that. I'm going to Control Z to undo it, and it crashed. All right, well, that's the end of my video for the moment.